Hey guys, how's it going? So a lot of activity going on at our house this morning. So yeah, we knew this spring that we would be tackling this part of the project at some point. We just didn't know exactly when, but we had to lift the narrow concrete sidewalk that went from kind of where we park our cars all the way up to the back shade porch door, because that's where we needed to trench the electric and water out to the Hartley. It was actually the path of least resistance, believe it or not. Any other direction we thought about trenching, it was going to run into major water lines, gas lines, all that kind of stuff. And we just thought, you know what? We want to redo this entryway anyway, so we may as well just, you know, I don't know, rip the Band-Aid off and just remove the sidewalk, and then we'll just get this done. So we're going to be putting in brick sidewalks like we have in many other areas of our garden so that there's kind of a cohesion. So they came yesterday. They started by removing that weird leaning stack of pavers, like that retaining wall. I set a camera up so you guys could watch it happen, because it was kind of like breathing a sigh of relief to see those go. It was just the weirdest retaining wall I've about ever seen. So we're going to replace those with stacked gray stone. It's going to look really pretty, like up next to the brick. And then we're going to use that same gray stack stone in the area where we're putting in a stair from the brick where the brick patio was down to the Hartley area. There are a lot of moving parts right now. So let me give you a close-up of this area and what is going on. We had originally thought just to bring the brick walkway right up to this concrete piece. We decided to go ahead and take it all the way up to the stair, even though the eventual plan is to possibly have a wraparound deck or porch built on this house, which will come out to the beam right here, and it'll cover part of it. But I think for now, since, I mean, this is such a small area compared to all the rest of the stuff they're doing, so we just decided it would look more cohesive and it would get rid of this piece of concrete, which is starting to like crumble apart. So yesterday, this is what they took, the leaning stack of pavers, and they're gonna take the rest of these all the way to the end. This will all be the stacked stone right here. And then they're gonna pop these up because they will not match the brick that we have to put in. And we'll just put a couple flagstones in here for now. And then eventually that will be a lot of porch area as well. Now over there where the ditch witch is coming in, it's likely we're gonna have to remove a couple plants. And I'll give you a closer up look at that area. I don't wanna get in their way. I'll give you a closer up look of that space here when they go take maybe a load of concrete away. But in order to widen the walkway at the very end, I think we might have to take out one boxwood at the end of the hedge and one hydrangea, which is not too bad. I can't believe just a few months ago, this was just a 4-foot trench right here. I mean, 4-foot trench all the way over. Do you remember all the trenching in this area? Like, you know, I look at this and I think, oh my goodness, there's still so much to do. But when I really think about how much has gone on underneath the soil surface in here, it's pretty incredible. Yeah, look at that. That's huge. So we'll come up with brick walkway here, and then we will have another one meet it right here, you know, that will attach to the one they've already done. So they did this brick walkway last spring, and it looks so nice. So we're gonna have the same thing here, and it will, you know, come right down toward me. It'll meet the wider walkway right here, and then it'll take off to the kitchen. And then we will go off of the brick pathway over into this area where the gray concrete table usually sits, with a different pattern of brick. So there's a lot of activity going on around here, and I was just so excited to show you kind of in process what is happening. And I'm guessing by the end of today, I think they're gonna have it all like dug out, however deep they need to dig it out. And then they're gonna bring in the gravel layer so that they can start in with the bricks. We do have the bricks here. I don't think they'll actually start laying the patio till probably the beginning of next week, because today is Friday. So we'll have kind of a gravel pathway here for the weekend. But one step closer, you guys. Once we get this area buttoned up, it's just gonna feel so nice. But let me get your opinions on something real quick. This space right here. So the interesting part about it, this is typically where we park our cars, which we are working toward being able to park them in the barn. We're trying to figure out how to get the gators all behind the barn. So we would like this to really be open and be able to have guests park here because it's the closest to the entrance we use the most. But how do you create an entrance that really pushes you, ideally, like toward the house? You want a very clear direction toward the house, but we also want it to feel like, you know, you could walk toward the Hartley if you want. And the idea here is to have the flagstone patio in here, kind of a large one with seating all around. We'll have a raised bed kind of area in the center, kind of like it was, but just, you know, built a little bit better and with different materials. But how do you meld those two things, the brick walkway and the flagstone patio and still have a very definite entrance. I'm telling you what, like it's even stumped my mom, and my mom's usually pretty good at figuring out like different things to do in different areas. So what we're gonna do at this point is get all the brickwork done around the house, and then up to this point right here, we're gonna stop that. And then next month, this tree is being moved, and we're gonna be putting in the flagstone patio, and then we'll try to figure out how to marry them together in a way that makes sense. Looks like they might be done with the concrete removal. Let's take a look. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Whoa, look at it in here. Oh, almost done. They're gonna have to bring the saw in right here and cut that out. So what we're gonna do while they're working on this, I wanna take advantage of this weather. I think we should go out and plant a few things. I wanted to get some Arctic fire dogwoods in the ground and possibly some coral berries for some winter interest. And I will bring you guys back over here at the end of the day just to see how far they got. Okay guys, here we are. I have 3 different varieties of shrubs. So we've got the Pradberry coralberry, which I have talked about all 3 of these shrubs in previous videos, and they're all so amazing. I love them so much. So Pradberry gets these gorgeous pink clusters of berries, and you can see that they've already started to form up right here. And they last through a good part of the winter, like surprisingly. I thought that frost would damage them more, and eventually they kind of succumb to the cold, but they last through, oh boy, I want to say a good part of December. And they're a zone 3 through 7 and incredibly easy to take care of. You actually prune these in like late winter, early spring, and I cut mine back to 12 inches to the ground every year. And it feels like totally the wrong thing to do with a woody shrub, but it makes them create really fresh, beautiful, strong growth and a huge amount of berries. I have these planted around in several areas of the landscape, and every time we go and plant at a friend's house, I usually work one of these in because of how wonderfully they do here. They grow about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. Let me verify that. Yeah, 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, so they're not a massive shrub, and because you're pruning them back every year, it just kind of keeps all their growth fresh and in check. We're also going to plant a couple of these purple haze Budlias, which I planted earlier this spring. You can see one right over here. I'll take you over there in a second. But these have a really neat growth habit. They grow a little bit more wide than they do tall, like 2 to 3 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. So in the realm of Budlias, they stay fairly small, but their bloom panicles are massive. They're a zone 5 through 9 and also bloom on new wood. So what we do with these is in the late spring, because it takes them forever to break dormancy, they're one of those that you actually think, is this dead? And you just give it another month and it usually leaves out. And at that point you can go in and trim out any weak looking growth. You can trim back all the growth to a really strong set of buds. And so they're pretty easy. They look full sun and just, you know, drier conditions, which is great. So you can see along where Aaron and I are working on this pathway, I planted 2 and they're just doing beautifully. I mean, look at this one next to the serendipity alliums, which, oh my goodness. If you need an awesome mid to late summer perennial right here, oh, they're awesome. They're great. And here's a Pradberry. I planted this one last year and cut it back to 12 inches this year. So this will start blooming, or rather it already bloomed kind of. You can kind of see the blooms here. They're a really soft pink color. They're not huge, but the berries will start forming up. They get, I want to say like a 1/4 inch big. And there'll be a bright pink accent right behind all this. It's gonna be so pretty. But aren't these doing great? They look so good right here. That one was smaller to begin with, so we've got a smaller size there with an Arctic Fire yellow dogwood right next to it. And then right down the way a bit, we've got some beautiful coral jade sedum. Aren't these awesome? Oh, they're so pretty. Got some Amsonia right here, but there's the other purple haze, looking gorgeous and beautiful next to this. I think these are actually either getting too much water, possibly. It's kind of what they're looking like. I don't think they're dealing with an iron deficiency, but anyway, I think they're supposed to be a little bit deeper green than that. So we'll figure out what's going on there, but it actually looks really pretty with this color of bloom. But these bloom panicles, look at that. Just phenomenal. And then the last of the 3 shrubs is the Arctic Fire Dogwood. So we've got Arctic Yellows on this side of the walkway. I want to put some Arctic Fires on the other side. So we'll have yellow stems on this side, red stems on this side. And these, you guys, are hardy down to zone 2. Crazy winter hardy. You can see the color of their stems right there. Ugh, we need these out here. I need a lot of these because I like to cut these for winter arranging. So it'd be so nice to be able to come out and cut my own. Plus they add so much to the landscape for winter time. I mean, they're just a nice green shrub during the season, and they grow 3 to 5 feet tall and wide, and they definitely get to the 5-foot side, maybe even a little bit bigger here in our area. They do really well for us. And dogwoods like this are actually one of the most tolerant shrubs for shadier locations. They won't be as productive in terms of blooms. I don't plant them for blooms though, because they're not very significant. They don't add a tremendous amount to the landscape, in my opinion. I grow them more for their stem appearance. So they won't be quite as robust growing. I mean, it's kind of like everything, you know, you give it more sun, a lot of times they'll do a little bit better, but they are more tolerant of it, which is quite nice. Makes them a little more versatile. And the way you trim these, either every year you can go in and cut out 1/3 of the older branches just to help rejuvenate the plant so it creates fresher growth, because the new growth has the best color. Or you can go in every other year and cut them back like a rejuvenation prune all the way to the ground almost. And then they'll push brand new growth every year. The only advantage of doing the 1/3 of the branches out every year is that if you're using them for a screen of any kind, or, you know, a hedge of any kind, you will still have your hedge there, as opposed to if you go in every other year and cut it back to the ground, they'll naturally stay a little bit smaller, and, you know, you won't have them through the course of, you know, a little while they're growing back. Okay guys, so this is where we're going to be planting the Arctic fires. I want to add some back in here. Now my plan is to come in with evergreens. I think I've mentioned that, like, I don't even know, a whole bunch of times. But this whole bed, it's so deep in here. We've got a couple of birch trees. I had 3 in there. One didn't survive through the winter, so we're gonna hopefully find a 3rd to put in there, and then we'll add in some evergreen interest. But I want to back these things right here with something a little bit more substantial. So I think it'll be a really good layering to have the shorter stuff. You know, we've got hardy geraniums and veronica, and then we've got some yarrow, which is a little taller, back and black sedum a little taller. Even taller than that is the Niagara Falls. And then right back behind that to have another layer up before we start our big stuff. I think that will look very nice. And you can see our lane here. It'll be nice to see some winter interest in here. So let's grab a couple of these, pop them around. I've got a number of them, so we might end up putting these somewhere else too. Yeah, see that? That will look really good there. The grass gets 4 by 4, and then we'll have our 5 by 5 shrub, but I need to add a few more in here. Okay, let's take a look at where these ended up. Starting with the 5 Arctic Fire Dogwoods. Now I did these kind of separated in a way. So kind of a grouping of 3 right here, which start, I kind of like to bridge a gap. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can see the gap between these 2 plants, which there won't be once the plants all grow to their full size. But I kind of like to stagger, you know, so it's not, everything's not lined up just perfectly. And then we've got the other 2 here. So a grouping of 3, which will be absolutely gorgeous. And then I left space right here because I want to put a green evergreen right in this space so it'll separate this group of Arctic Fires from this grouping of 2. It's actually quite a perfect shrub to put underneath a locust tree because this locust will get big, like big. And putting things under it, like all this stuff right here, eventually is going to have to move out. But these probably won't because these will be able to take the dappled sun underneath this tree. That's the really nice part about putting in versatile things like that. So green evergreen here, and then of course more smaller things on the other side. And then we'll probably come in, it almost might look good to do like a grouping of great big beautiful evergreens in here. I don't know, something awesome. My approach to this area is completely willy-nilly. There is absolutely no plan. There's no, I just kind of come out here, plunk things in their place and hope for the best. Okay, so right over here, we recently planted these Beyond Midnight Caryopteris, which get about 2.5 feet tall and wide. So they'll create a really beautiful drift. I have a Desert Plains Pennisetum right here. And then I popped a Pradberry Coralberry kind of into the little circle that these 2 plants created. And it'll be perfect because I don't think that these will overgrow each other. I think it'll be really nice. I do want to pop a small ornamental evergreen right in here. And then I plan on putting, because there is a spruce here which will get quite large, I'm planning on putting a smaller, maybe ornamental tree, like fairly small, maybe a lollipop of some kind, like a lollipop hydrangea would be really pretty. But the other coralberry is right here. Did I already say that? Can't remember. Anyway, there's the second coralberry, and then the golden ticket privet will be quite a bit larger. So like from this angle, once that privet gets to its size, we probably won't see that grass. I put one of the purple haze Budlias right here. Doesn't that look pretty? God, I love it so much. Those right there, I think it looks so pretty because it's contrasting the Heliopsis. This is a new one called Bit of Honey. It's contrasting them just beautifully. And then of course we've got Cat's Pajamas Nepeta, which are on their like 3rd bloom for the season at this point. They're such an amazing perennial. Do you see all the pollinators? I'm not sure if you can see all that activity, but there's a lot. And then beyond that, we have the Royal Raspberry Agastaki. That's a new one for next year. And just directly on the opposite side of the grass pathway here, I put the 3rd Pradberry, which we've got the White Swan Echinacea here, and then the, I can't remember which variety of geranium that is, but a blue one. And then we've got some Baptisia back in here. I actually have a Baptisia here that I think I'm gonna move right in this section so I can put something that gets a little bit bigger right in here. And last Budlia is down here. So this, you guys, on our way, this is one of the areas where I'm thinking of creating like a little secret area. Like maybe I don't even put a walkway from this side, maybe it comes in from this side and like kind of twists around the plants in here and then ends up somewhere right here in the center and just kind of build around it and have like a little secret bistro set in here. Wouldn't that be cool? And then right over here is where I'm thinking of putting a smallish gazebo. It's amazing when you start realizing the structure that's kind of coming together in a space, all of a sudden you can pick out rooms in different areas where you can tuck some other things other than plants, like benches and gazebos and things like that. Okay, so there's the last Budlia right there. We've recently added all of these things. There was only 2 plants in this spot from last year. We have the Forest Pansy Redbud and then the Legends of the Fall Buttlebrush, which looks like it needs a little bit more water. But anyway, we added this year the Queen Nectarine Hyssop, and then this, is this Raspberry Beret? I can't remember what kind of echinacea, but a pink one that's a double and really pretty. 3 Niagara Falls panicums. There's a double blue, Centaura double blue lilac, and then the Bright Idea sedum, and now the purple haze Budlia. So pretty. So that's it for the planting I wanted to get done today. I need to go around and do, you know, my routine watering and things, and it looks like they are they're still digging out the area right now. I could hear the leveler. It's like a tool that beeps a lot. I can always tell when they're working on digging out and leveling the area. So hopefully by the end of the day we'll kind of have the area painted out, and we'll have a firm plan on how to move forward once they start actually laying the bricks next week. So anyway, I'll just take a quick break and then we'll be back to show you how far they got today. All right guys, it's early evening at this point. The crew is gone, so now I want to take you through this area, show you what they got done, and kind of explain some of the decisions we actually made this afternoon. I always kind of like to start backed up a little bit so you can get a really good sense of the space. Now I do need to trim this maple up. Just now kind of realizing how much it's grown. My goodness. So this area looks pretty much the same. They had to leave this open to get their machine in and out, and this will be the last little piece they do, but we do plan on going 5 feet wide here. Do you remember how narrow that sidewalk was before? I think it was 24 inches, if that. And then it had bricks turned on their side, just kind of lining it to create a little bit more interest, I guess. And then of course, I like to plant things fairly close to walkways so that you can have a little bit of, you know, plants spilling onto the walkway. It softens the whole area. I love that look, but then it necks it down even further. So having 5 feet to work with, it's gonna be so nice. So of course that will be centered with these stairs, and we have considered having those iron railings like we have in the front made for these back stairs. I think that would be real pretty. To the right here, this is a decision that we changed this afternoon, or a decision we made rather this afternoon. We were gonna stay fairly narrow here because we don't use this walkway all that much. I mean, we don't use it for anything super wide, but we decided instead of going 36 inches to go 48, even if that meant having to get rid of the boxwoods, because we could always plant those. I do love those though, those sphere-shaped boxwoods with the pillar in the center, but you can see that it worked. We did not have to dig them up. They'll probably be just fine. I mean, we had to cut some of their roots off, but I think they're going to be great. And then we'll have a little bit more space to deal with. We also decided to not have a step down from the driveway because we do want access with garden carts. We didn't need a whole lot of width for that, but it's nice that we will have just a gradual incline right here so we can move in and out of this space without a step. And see, this walkway is only 36 inches. I didn't want to go any wider than that over here because it just would make the flower bed so narrow. And you know, as you look this way, having the 48 inches here, it's going to mirror on the other side because that's what we're coming off with. In terms of the sidewalk pattern, will be 48 inch wide. It'll feel much wider though because we're going to just change the pattern of the brick and come over this way for the patio area. That was something else we decided today as well. We were going to do flagstone in this area to match the flagstone we're going to put over here, like where the brick patio used to be. But I think in this area, it's so weird. Like there's nooks and crannies all over the place, and our 48 inch walkway won't go all the way like in front of the boxwood hedge area. So I didn't want it to look like, you know, we start flagstone here and we've got flagstone in a weird shape. Then we've got our square, and then we've got flagstone in kind of like a triangular shape to match the walkway. I think even if we're doing a different pattern of brick, if it's all brick, it will look a little bit more cohesive. I'm hoping that's how it goes. Anyway, the brick walkway will come and meet the one that goes right up to the stairs, but it'll flare right here. So it'll look like a, you know, a very gentle curve, and it'll do the same thing on this side. So this right here, you guys, this is where the concrete was. It was this narrow. And so this step coming out just posed a huge problem. We couldn't bring carts through here, either without going over plants or trying to go up over a stair. So it's gonna be great. We are gonna probably need to take out one boxwood here and possibly like some coleus. The coleus doesn't matter. The boxwood will be kind of a bummer. I'll see if I can trim it, but either way, you can see that they dug this whole area out. It was a lot more shallow than it is at the moment, and they put a layer of road mix down, which is a mixture of sand and some chip gravel here. And then for this space here, I think they're going to be tackling this on Monday. So like I said, they're going to cut the right in front of the stair, get rid of this whole area, and then we'll have brick all the way up to the kitchen door. That's going to be so nice. I'm so looking forward to having this little piece gone. I mean, we've painted it a couple times, but that paint just comes right up, even though it's the right kind of like concrete paint. And then next year, you guys, we have to get our house painted. It is so bad, especially the porches in the front and back here. They need to be scraped, and probably some pieces need to be redone because it's pretty pretty ratty at the moment. We were on the schedule to have our house painted this last spring, but then we decided to do the Hartley, and you know, it just kind of went down the list of priorities. And we also decided that we were going to renovate the house, which is still in the plans, but it's going to be such a big project that we can't do it right away. It's probably going to be a few years down the road. So I think getting the house painted would be a good thing to do, just to protect the wood and protect, you know, I don't know, just keep it up for now, just in case something happens and we don't renovate the house. So anyway, that'll probably happen next spring, hopefully before plants emerge. It'd be so much easier for everybody if like all the vines were cut back in the spring and we could remove the trellises really easy. They could paint and then we could put everything back up, and you know, everything can grow normally. Sometimes the ideal schedule doesn't work out, but I'm hopeful that that's how it goes next season. And I'm also hopeful that I don't have to change much about this space, because I really do love it. I love the boxwood. That's a North Star boxwood hedge right there. I like the boxwood cone. That's been here since we moved in. I like the hydrangeas and the boxwoods leading to the fireplace. So I'm hoping that if we do need to make any changes, they're just minimal. And then we'll put the whole area back together with nice cohesive looking flooring, paving in this area, and then we can fuss and fix some of these things. There's some holes I want to fix. I still haven't got the fountain up and running, but I enjoy it as just a piece of, it's actually quite nice to have a beautiful piece of concrete in here and not have to clean it. There's benefits to procrastinating sometimes. Anyway, guys, that is it for today's video. I'm super excited to have this project underway. It's always, like I think I mentioned this morning, maybe I did, maybe I didn't, I don't know. This morning feels a long time ago. But I always feel really nervous when we start projects like this, because, you know, projects like this aren't inexpensive, and they're fairly, like, you don't just change them right away if you don't like it. So I'm always nervous that, did I pick things out right? Is it going to look the way I'm envisioning it in my head? Is the traffic flow going to work? And I mean, in the end, it's all stuff you can change in the end, but it's not something you can change right away, especially when you're getting a crew in here and you're putting down, you know, walkways. I mean, that seems fairly permanent to me. I don't know if you guys deal with those kind of emotions when you're going through projects like this, but oh my goodness, I go through emotions like that. But it was nice to go out and get some things planted while this was going on near the house, and just kind of developing the space out there. And we just have a lot of areas that we, you know, are working on developing, and that's really fun and exciting and all those things. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.